The sky of Zentor was burning. Ash fell like black snow over the quiet mountains. Forests had turned to smoke. The rivers were dry. The wind carried the sound of distant explosions, sharp, cruel, endless. Once, Zentar was a peaceful world. Zentari people lived simple lives. They loved music, farming, and stories. But now, they were hiding in caves, hungry and afraid. Their world was dying, and no one was coming to help. The enemy was called the Drekker swarm creatures with metal skin, red eyes, and no mercy. They came from deep space, moving from planet to planet like a disease. They destroyed cities, killed without reason, and turned beautiful worlds into ashes. Zenter had called for help. They had sent messages to the Galactic Council. They begged their neighbors, allies, and friends. Please, they said, we are under attack. We need food, soldiers, anything. We don't want to die, but no one answered. The council had declared Zentor a lost planet. The decision was final. No ships would be sent. No resources wasted. The Zentari were too weak, too far, too unimportant. The galaxy turned away. They were left to die. In a dark cave near the broken capital, an old Zentari scientist named Morrow sat by a damaged radio. His face was thin. His eyes were tired. He had not eaten in 2 days. But his hands were steady as he adjusted the controls. Around him, small children slept. Mothers held their babies close. Wounded soldiers rested in silence. There was no hope left in their eyes. But Morrow believed in one last thing. He turned on the power and spoke into the microphone. This is Zenter. We're not dead yet. Please, if anyone is listening, help us. We are still alive. Then he added one more thing. Something he never thought he would say to the planet called Earth. If you still exist, we need you. The others looked at him in shock. Earth, that name was only in history books. A legend. Some said it was gone forever. Some said Earth had left the galaxy. Some said it never even existed. But Morrow remembered the old stories. Long ago, Earth had helped many planets. People were strong, brave, and full of fire. But then something happened. The Council betrayed them during a great war. Humanity disappeared. No one knew why. Now, hundreds of years later, no one had heard from Earth, until now, far away in the shadows of the solar system. Something moved. A satellite hidden near Pluto picked up Morrow's message. The signal was weak, broken, and almost lost in the noise of the galaxy, but someone noticed it. Inside a secret Earth base, an officer listened to the recording. His hands froze. He played it again. And again, sir, he said, we found something strange. Soon the message reached Admiral Reyes, the leader of Earth's last great fleet. He stood alone in a command room, staring at the old symbol. Of the Zentari on the screen, Zentar, he whispered. They were good people. He remembered the betrayal. He remembered how the Council left Earth to die, just like they were doing to the Zentari now. Reyes turned to his officers. His voice was cold but full of fire. They're asking for help, and we're going to answer. But sir, someone said if we go, the Council will see us. The whole galaxy will know we're back. Reyes nodded. Good. Let them see. At that moment, deep in Earth's underground hangars, the engines of warships began to wake. Giant machines silent, for decades started to glow. Soldiers prepared their armor. Engineers loaded weapons. Earth was moving again. And somewhere, far across the stars, Morrow sat in silence, still holding the radio, not knowing if anyone had heard. But in the darkness above him, a single star blinked just for a moment. Help was coming, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Drekker swarm laughed. They had seen the message from Zentor. Some Council spies had intercepted it. One of them shared it in a secret chamber of the Drekker fleet. A cry for help. A Drekker commander growled. How sweet, another added. They begged Earth. Humans are ghosts. They won't come. Holram laughed. They didn't know in the silent black of the solar system. Something ancient was rising. On Earth, inside the hidden base called Iron Deep, sirens echoed. Blue lights flashed across the walls. Massive blast doors opened for the first time in years. Dust shook off forgotten machines. And the ground trembled. The humans had heard the message. Admiral Reyes stood on the main platform, wearing his dark uniform. His eyes were locked on the glowing star map. Red dots showed Draker's ships spreading like disease across Zenter. Beside him, Commander Lin asked, "Are we really doing this?" Reyes nodded once. "We promised. Long ago, we said we'd protect those who couldn't fight for themselves. That promise still stands. But if we go," Lin said, "the galaxy will see us again. The Council might attack." Reyes looked her in the eye and let them try. Across Earth, the news moved fast but quietly in the cold forests of Siberia. Old soldiers pulled their armor out of storage. In the deserts of Africa, giant walkers rose from underground bunkers. In orbit, shipyards lit up for the first time. In decades, engineers worked without sleep. One message had reached them all. Humanity is moving. Prepare the fleet. Inside Doxavan, Captain Elias walked into the hangar where the Iron Vow, a massive human dreadnought, stood ready. The hull was black, sharp, and silent. It had not flown in 20 years. He placed a hand on the cold steel. "Time to wake up, old friend," he whispered, in orbit around the moon. A stealth satellite turned on its transmitter and sent a message. Across, space-coded, silent, and untraceable. Message sent. Human fleet awakening. Objective: protect Exiantar. It reached deep space listening posts. Some species ignored it. Some thought it was a trick, but a few felt fear in a secret chamber on a council planet. A gray-skinned ambassador read the report and dropped his drink. "No," he whispered. "They're back." Back on Earth, Reyes stood before thousands of soldiers in the central hangar. He spoke into the microphone. His voice echoed like thunder. "Years ago, we were betrayed. We were pushed into the shadows. Forgotten. Hunted. Feared. But we survived. And now, the Zentari are calling for help. The galaxy left them to die, but we are not the galaxy. We are humanity, and we do not turn away." Cheers rose from the troops, short, sharp, powerful. Then the order came: launch. The fleet, one by one, warships lifted into Earth's skies. Some were sleek and black, built for speed and stealth. Others were giant, floating fortresses with railguns and missile arrays. Each ship had one purpose: protect Exiantar in the command. The center of the Iron Vow, Captain Elias sat in his chair. He smiled as the engines roared. "Let's show them," he said. "What ghosts can do?" Far away on the edge of Zenter's broken sky, the stars began to shift in a quiet Drecker listening station. A red alert flashed on the screen. Incoming signatures. Unknown origin. Fast. The operator's hands trembled. "Sir, dot. We have contact." From the shadows of the stars, the first human ships came in fast. They didn't hide. They didn't warn. They moved like wolves entering a battlefield. One Drecker captain stared at the screen. His eyes widened. That ... can't be humans. It was on Zintar, deep in the caves. Morrow sat near the broken radio again. He had no food. His voice was weak. "I don't know if anyone heard us," he said softly. "But if this is our end, I'm glad I tried." Then a young girl ran in. From the cave entrance, her eyes wide. "Look," she shouted. In the sky. "Look." Morrow stood slowly and stepped outside. Above them, through the smoke, he saw shapes. Giant shapes. Falling stars that moved with purpose. Bright engines cutting through the clouds. One ship flew land. The symbol on its side was clear. A silver. Earth, wrapped in flame. Morrow fell to his knees. Tears filled his eyes. "They came," he whispered. "By the stars, they came." The Drecker had laughed. The council had looked away. But now the humans were here, and they were not here to talk. They were here to fight, and to protect, no matter what. The smoke over Zenter was thick. It covered the sky like a dark blanket. The forests were gone. The cities were broken. Fire still burned in the distance. And yet, something moved above the clouds. A strange sound echoed across the sky, a deep, powerful roar. The sound didn't belong to the Drekker. It wasn't like their buzzing ships or screeching drones. This sound was new. It was human. On the edge of a ruined village, a group of Zentari survivors sat in silence. There were only a few left-hold people, injured soldiers, children with blank faces. They had stopped believing anyone would come. Then the ground shook. A bright shape tore through the clouds above them. It came fast, fire and steel, humming with energy. It slowed down and landed just beyond the hills. No Drekker ship moved like that. Inside the human dropship, Sergeant Vale checked his rifle. "Scan complete," said the AI voice. "Life signs detected. Civilians, no Drekker presence." Vale turned to his squad. "Y'all heard Admiral Reyes? No second chances. We're here to save them. We do this right." His boots hit the dirt first. The hatch opened and humans stepped out onto Zentor for the first time in centuries. From behind a broken wall, a young Zentari girl peeked out. Her eyes were wide. She didn't understand what she was seeing. The soldiers were tall, wearing dark armor with blue lights. Their helmets glowed. Their weapons looked like something from another world. She ran to her mother and pulled her sleeve. "People came," she whispered, "but not like us." The humans moved slowly, weapons ready, but not raised. They scanned the village, saw the burned homes, the starving faces, the fear. Then one of the soldiers removed his helmet. He was human. His face was pale, with tired eyes, but kind. He raised one hand. "We are from Earth," he said gently. "We're here to help." For a moment, no one moved. Then the mother stepped forward. Her voice shook. "Earth, you're real?" The soldier nodded. "We heard your call." Back on the Iron Vow, Admiral Reyes watched the video feed from orbit. The image showed the Zentari stepping out of their hiding places. A child touched a human boot and smiled. An old man began to cry. A wounded warrior saluted the soldiers. Reyes didn't smile. He just gave one order: drop supplies, build defenses, protect them. The Drekker heard the news too, in a command ship near Zentar's moons. The Drekker High Captain stared at a report. Human contact confirmed. He hissed, "Send the swarm. Burn everything. I want Earth's insects crushed." On the surface, Sergeant Vale looked up. He heard the warning through his comms. "Drekker ships approaching. Ita, for minutes." He turned to the Zentari. "We have to move now. The enemy is coming." The villagers froze. Many were too weak to run. Some were ready to give up. But then they saw something that changed everything. Human medics jumped from a second ship carrying food, water, and medicine. Engineers were already building shields and sensor towers. Drones flew into the air to scout. And when the first Drekker ship appeared in the sky, the humans were ready. A red beam fired from the enemy ship. It hit a nearby hill, and nothing happened. The hill shimmered. It wasn't real. It was a human hologram trap. Then the sky exploded. 2 human fighter jets shot from behind the clouds, fired plasma rounds, and ripped the Drekker ship to pieces. The wreck crashed to the ground in flames. The villagers stared in shock. They had never seen anyone beat the Drekker like that. Not once. A Zentari warrior missing one arm turned to Sergeant Vale. You fought them, and you won." Vale simply said, "We've been waiting for this." The warrior asked, "Why? Why save us?" No one else came. Vale looked around at the broken village. He saw children helping carry supplies. He saw humans giving blankets to shivering elders. Saw hope. He answered, "Because we know what it feels like to be left behind." As night fell, fires were put out, shelters were built. Zentari families slept under warm blankets for the first time in weeks. In the center of the village, humans and Zentari sat together. There were no speeches, no celebrations, just quiet understanding. One child looked up at the stars and whispered, "They came from so far." just for us. And nearby, a soldier whispered back, "We don't leave people behind." But this was only the beginning. The Drekker now knew Earth was back, and they were not ready for what came next. The skies over Zenter were no longer quiet. Began as a rescue had become war. Above the burning forests, human warships formed a wide shield over the planet. Fighters patrolled the skies. Cannons pointed toward the stars. The air shook with the sound of engines, drones, and weapons. Deep inside the Iron Vow, Admiral Reyes stood in front of a giant screen. Red dots blinked closer every second. "Drekker fleet approaching," said the AI calmly. 57 warships, heavy class, estimated arrival, 2 minutes. Reyes looked at his officers. "They're coming fast. Let's show 'em who we are." The Drekker ships broke through the upper atmosphere like falling knives. Their ships were black and sharp, with wings like blades and engines that screamed. Each one carried thousands of soldiers, cold, heartless, hungry for destruction. On the ground, Sergeant Vale watched the sky turn red. "Here we go," he said, loading his weapon. The villagers were already underground, safe in the newly built shelters. Human engineers had placed shield generators around the hills. Defense turrets stood ready. This time, the Zentari wouldn't face death alone. Above, the first human fighter squad launched Captain Lyra, the best pilot in the fleet, locked onto the lead Drekker ship. "Target acquired," she said, calm and focused. The Drekker ship opened fire first. Bright red beams shot through the clouds, but the Iron Vow's orbital cannons answered with thunder. A railgun slug tore through the Drekker. Ships sighed. The enemy ship shook and tilted, leaking fire. Captain Lyra saw her chance. She flew straight through the burning wreck, launched 2 torpedoes, and broke the back of the beast. The first Drekker ship exploded. On the ground, Drekker drop pods slammed. Into the hills, throwing up dirt and fire, metal warriors crawled out, red eyes glowing. Their claws clicked. Their weapons hissed. They marched forward, but the humans were waiting. "Hold the line," Vale shouted. Plasma bullets lit up the night. Rockets launched from human shoulder cannons. Drones flew above, scanning, targeting, striking. For every Drekker that moved forward, 2 more fell. Inside one of the bunkers, young Zentari boy watched the battle through a camera feed. "Mom," he whispered, "they're winning." His mother held him close, crying silently, not from fear, but from hope. No one had ever pushed back the Drekker before, not like this in the sky. A huge Drekker war barge arrived. It was twice the size of the Iron Vow, shaped like a flying fortress. It began charging its main cannon, aimed at the surface. "Admiral," a human officer said, "if that cannon fires, we lose everything on the ground." Reyes didn't flinch. "Then stop it," he said. The Valkyrie unit, 10 elite. Drop pods launched from the Iron Vow. They moved fast, cutting through fire and wind. Inside them were soldiers in heavy exosuits. Armed with the strongest tech Earth had ever made, they landed on the Drekker war barge. Blades clashed. Explosions rocked the ship. Human soldiers fought through narrow halls and metal beasts. Captain Dax, the team leader, planted a bomb on the core reactor. "Mission complete," he said into his comms. "We're leaving now." But the enemy was too fast. A Drekker blade sliced through his side. Dax smiled through the pain. "You don't win today." And then he pressed the trigger. The war barge exploded above Zenter like a second sun. From the surface, the humans and Zentari saw the fireball in the sky. "Sergeant." Vale looked up, breathing hard, body covered in dust and blood. He smiled. They did it. The Drekker pulled back. What was supposed to be a fast destruction had turned into their worst defeat in years. Human ships didn't chase. They held the skies. They protected. That night, the fires were finally out. The stars above were clear. The people of Zenter came out of their bunkers. They saw the Earth's banners flying high. They saw the humans, tired but standing strong. Morrow, the old scientist, stepped into the open field and looked around. He hadn't seen the sky this calm in months. A soldier walked up to him and handed him a data pad. "What is this?" asked. "Our tech team fixed your old transmitter. Like you can talk to anyone now." Morrow stared at the screen. Then he looked at the stars. And for the first time in a long time, he smiled, but far beyond the system, in the darkest corners of space. Something was watching. The council had received the full report. Earth was back, and the rest of the galaxy would have to decide. Stand with humanity or prepare to face them. The grand hall of the Galactic Council was silent. That had never happened before. Not when wars broke out. Not even during the fall of Zeroth. But now the silence was heavy. Every species sat in their high chairs, floating above the glowing circle. Their eyes were locked on the main screen, and the image on the screen. Earth ships, human soldiers. The burning remains of a destroyed Drekker fleet. The footage was real. No one could deny it now. Earth had returned, and they weren't begging. For peace, they were protecting the weak and winning. Counselor Threx of the Rulathi broke the silence. This is dangerous. We banished them. They were too wild. Too unpredictable. Counselor hissed. He said they were extinct. The younger species believe it. We told them Earth destroyed itself. Another voice spoke. Cold. Slow. Deep. They did not destroy themselves. It was Counselor Varn, the oldest of them all. His skin was silver and cracked. He had seen the last human war. They went quiet. That was not weakness. That was preparation, the council whispered among themselves. They're helping the Zentari. Why? They could be building an army. Should we stop them now? No one had answers, because the truth was clear. Everything they told the galaxy about humans was a lie. Centuries ago, the council had feared Earth's rise. Humans learned to fast. Fought too hard. Refused to kneel, so the council lied. They told. The galaxy Earth was a danger. Said humans destroyed allies. They even showed fake proof of crimes. Then they shut Earth off from the rest of the galaxy. They erased them from the star maps and waited. Now Earth was back, and they were not angry yet. But they were awake, and that made the council nervous. On. The planet Zenter Admiral Reyes stood beside the old transmitter station. Repairs were complete. A message was ready. He pressed the button. A hologram of him appeared in the council's chamber. This time, he spoke. "Members of the council," Reyes said, voice calm and cold. "This is Admiral Reyes of Earth's unified fleet. We received a distress call from Zenter," we answered. "You didn't. You left them to die." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Reyes continued, "We are not here to conquer. We are not here to kneel. We are here to protect. And if anyone tries to stop us," he paused, "then you will see what Earth really kept hidden all these years." The message ended. Some council members were afraid, some were angry, some were quiet. But in the darkest corner of the hall, Shadow moved. He was not a counselor. Not anymore. He had been exiled once, long ago, but now he smiled. "They're back," he whispered. "And the council has no idea what's coming." Back on Zenter, Sergeant Vale and his team helped rebuild homes. The Zentari children now followed them everywhere. One even wore a tiny human helmet made from scrap. Morrow watched from a hilltop. "Earth didn't just save us," he said. "They gave us something we lost." Commander Lin looked over. "What did they give you?" Morrow smiled. "Hope." That hope was not the only thing spreading across the stars. Other species watched the recordings. Some cried, some cheered, a few they remembered how Earth helped them before the lies. How humans had once fought for justice, and slowly across the galaxy, old stories came back. Whispers. They're alive. They saved Zenter. They're not monsters. They're protectors. In a dark war room on a distant world, the Drekker High Command met. Their general slammed his clawed hand onto the table. "Earth cost us an entire fleet," he roared.
Ow.
"We will not lose again." A scientist played a new video. It showed the Iron Vow. It showed human tech. Faster, sharper, Stronger than anything seen before? They evolved in silence, the scientists said. Now, we face a storm. But the worst part? Earth hadn't even sent their full power yet. Only one battle group. Only one fleet. And still, the Drekker failed. The Council panicked, and the galaxy trembled. In a small control room aboard the Iron Vow, Captain Elias looked out at the stars. His second-in-command asked, "What now, sir?" Elias stared ahead. "Now," he said, "and we find out who else the Council left behind." Because Earth was done waiting, and this time, they weren't just defending one planet. They were coming for the truth and for justice. Far from the battlefields, beyond the noise of guns and ships, a silent war had already begun. It wasn't fought with bombs or soldiers. It was fought with whispers, secrets, and betrayal, and Earth knew it, inside the Iron Vow's command room. Admiral Reyes stared at a dark screen. "This came from one of our old spy beacons," his officer said. "It's still working after all these years." The screen flickered, showing a message from a hidden source. A voice heavily distorted spoke just for words, "The Council is lying." Reyes narrowed his eyes. "Find out who sent this." Back on Zenter, things were quiet for now. Villages were rebuilding. Human engineers helped fix water systems and power grids. Children played again. Elders smiled, but Sergeant Vale didn't. "Relax. Peace never lasts," he told his team. "Not when lies are still alive." He was right. In the shadows of the Galactic Council, a secret meeting took place. 3 counselors stood in the dark. Their robes were black, their faces hidden. They spoke in low voices. "We must stop Earth before others rise with them. We don't act now, the truth will spread, and we must plant the seeds of doubt." They planned something dangerous, not an attack, but a story, a lie. The next day, a new message spread across the galaxy. A fake report. It showed Earth destroying peaceful Drekker colonies. It claimed humans had returned only for power. Many believed it, but not all. In a hidden chamber beneath Zenter's old capital, Moreau sat with a young human intelligence officer named Jace. "This isn't just about war," Moreau said. "This is about history." The truth was buried. Jace pulled up old council records files Earth had stolen during an earlier hack. "They said humanity was aggressive," he said. "But here, look at this." He showed Morrow a list. Planets the council had let fall. People they abandoned. And beside those names, Earth's secret missions, rescue teams, relief ships, refugee camps. Morrow stared at the screen. They weren't monsters. They were protectors. On the council homeworld, Counselor Varn received a private message. It was from an old contact. "Human, spied," the message said. "The young ones are rising. They don't believe your lies anymore. Earth is not alone." Varn didn't reply. He just stood, walked to his window, looked out at the stars. "They should have stayed silent," he muttered. But deep inside, even he wasn't sure anymore. Meanwhile, back aboard the Iron Vow, Admiral Reyes met with his senior commanders. "We've confirmed it," Reyes said. "The Council is trying to turn the galaxy against us." Commander Lin nodded. "Dare." Reyes leaned forward. "They should be." He pressed a button. Map appeared. Stars lit up. One by one, each one marked a planet once abandoned by the Council. Reyes pointed. "We're going there, all of them." The room went quiet. "You want to start a liberation campaign?" one officer asked. Reyes replied, "I want to give them a choice." That night, Sergeant Vale received new orders. His team would travel to a nearby planet called Villernen, another place the Council had erased from the maps. A planet full of broken cities, scattered survivors, secrets as they. Prepared to leave, Morrow came to him. "You're not just fighting for Zentor anymore." Vale smiled. "I never was." The next day, human ships launched again. They didn't fly toward the enemy. They flew toward the forgotten, toward those left to suffer in silence. And this time, they weren't coming to rescue one world. They were coming for all of them. But Earth's next move didn't go unnoticed, far beyond the stars. Inside a deep fortress carved into a black asteroid, The Drekker High Command met in silence. One of their generals spoke. Earth is moving faster than expected. Another added, they are gaining followers. Rebels, outcasts, even former council races. And then the leader of the Drekker, the one with no name, is only known as the Flame Eater, stood. His voice was low and cruel. They think they are heroes, he said. Let's remind them what fear truly is. At that moment, across many sectors of the galaxy, dark ships activated, not council ships, not Drekker war fleets, something older, something worse. Forgotten weapons from the council's oldest crimes, sent to destroy everything Earth was trying to save. But Earth was ready, because they knew the real war wasn't just in the skies, it was in hearts, in memories, and in the truth. Villarnine was once a beautiful world. Long ago, forests covered its mountains. Rivers sparkled like silver. Cities floated in the sky. Then the council abandoned it. Now only ashes remained, dead buildings, silent towns, cracked skies, but as Earth's. Ships landed. Something changed. For the first time in many years, hope returned to VELAR-9. Sergeant Vale and his team stepped into a broken city square. Bodies didn't lie here anymore. Only shadows and burned stone. A small group of survivors stood watching. Weapons in hand. Dirty. Tired. Angry. Vale raised his hands. We're not here to fight. An old woman stepped forward. You wear the colors of Earth. We do, he said. Anne, we came to help.
Oh.
She stared at him for a long time. Then she lowered her weapon, at the same time, across the stars. Dozens of Earth fleets split into smaller teams. Each one visited an abandoned world. Each one carried food, medicine, and power generators. Each one brought the same message. You were left behind, but not by us. Some believed, some didn't, some attacked. But one by one, truth spread. And slowly, Earth was no longer alone. On the edge of the Talari system, a rebel group intercepted Earth's signal. Their leader, a tall woman with silver skin, watched the transmission. Humans helping the weak, humans saving lives, humans fighting back. She smiled. We fought beside them once, she said. We'll do it again. Her fleet launched that same night. On the council world of Rinner, protests broke out. Young voices shouted through the cities. Tell us the truth. Why did you lie about Earth? The council sent soldiers to silence them, but it was too late. In the secret war room of the Iron Vow, Admiral Reyes read a new report. It listed 23 planets where uprisings had started, and beside each name, requested Earth assistance. Reyes looked at Commander Lin. Looks like the galaxy remembers, he said. Lin smiled. Or maybe they just woke up. But good news wasn't all that came. The AI blinked red. Emergency signal from Zenter, it said. They're under attack again. Reyes stood up fast. From who? The Drekker? The AI replied. Unknown force, multiple signatures, heavy weapons, advanced cloaking. Back on Zenter, fires burned once more. The sky turned black as strange ships descended. Not Drekker, not Council. Something else. Something worse. Sergeant Vale and his team fought hard, but the enemy was faster. Darker, crueler. They're not here to conquer, Vale shouted. They're here to erase everything.
Ah!
In a control room underground, Morrow watched the screen shake with static. These ships, he whispered. I've seen them before. He opened a secret file, one the Council had hidden deep, and there it was, Project Nullfire. Classified weapons. Built by the Council. Released only if Earth returned. He stared in horror. They built monsters. And now they've lost control. In orbit, human ships fought with all their strength. But for every enemy ship they destroyed, another two arrived. Admiral Reyes saw the numbers. We can't win this alone. He opened all channels, to every ally, to every rebel, to every voice. In the stars, and spoke just 4 words. Earth stands. Who joins? The answer came faster than anyone expected. One by one, signals lit up across space. Tel Ari rebels. Villarnine survivors. Old human allies. Even species once silent. They answered with their own message. We rise with Earth. Within hours, new fleets arrived at Zentor. Dozens of ships. Different shapes, different flags. But they all had the same goal: defend the weak together in the skies above Zinter. The final battle of Part 7 began. Human fighters flew beside alien ones. Old enemies now stood as brothers. The strange enemy ships were strong, but not united, and that was their weakness. Together, Earth and its new allies broke their lines. The black sky turned blue once more. On the ground, Vale stood beside a rebel. "Captain, didn't think I'd fight beside a Talari," he joked. The captain smiled. "Didn't think I'd trust a human again." Vale looked at the sky. "I guess the galaxy changes." Far away, the council watched in silence. One counselor whispered, "This alliance, it wasn't supposed to happen." Another said, "We tried to stop them, we lied." And then Varn, the oldest counselor, said nothing. He simply turned off the screen. Because now the fire had returned. Not from bombs, from people, from unity, from Earth. And the galaxy would never be the same. The stars had changed. What was once quiet, space, was now fire, light, and war. But this time it wasn't just Earth that fought. It was the forgotten, the betrayed, the ones left to die, and all of them stood with humanity. On board the Iron Vow, alarms blared. Enemy ships poured in from the dark corners of space more than ever before. Strange. Black vessels controlled by machines, a forgotten weapon the Council once built, now out of control. Admiral Reyes stood at the center of the bridge. "This is it," he said. "The final push. We win here, or we fall with honor." His officers nodded. No one ran. No one begged. They were human, across the stars. Earth's allies activated their fleets. The Talari rebels sent every ship they had. The Villarnine survivors used old mining crafts turned into war machines. Even peaceful species, once afraid, joined in. One voice echoed through the coms. "Today, we fight for more than Earth. Today we fight for every world they tried to erase." Above Zenter, the battle began. The enemy had numbers, but Earth had something more: heart. And now they weren't alone. Sergeant Vale led a ground defense team near the last Zentari village. Explosions shook the hills, but the Zentari stood beside. Himmeled, farmers with rifles, young teens carrying tools turned into weapons. Vale shouted, "Hold the line. Protect the people." Huge drone ship landed. But before it could fire, boom, a rebel Telleri ship crashed into it from above, saving them. Vale looked up. He smiled. In the council chambers, panic grew. Why are they fighting together?
8-1.
Counselor yelled. We kept them apart for centuries. Another counselor turned to Varn. You said they'd never unite. Varn didn't answer. He just watched the screens. He saw humans fighting with courage. He saw species helping one another. He saw the truth, and for the first time in 100 years, he felt shame. Back in orbit. AI locked onto the source of the machine army. A hidden station. Deep behind the Council's old territory, Admiral Reyes saw it. If we take that out, we stop them all. Commander Lin nodded. Heavily guarded, Reyes turned to the crew. I won't order you to go, but I'm going. One by one, every officer stood. We're with you. The Iron Vow flew straight into the storm. Fighters covered them from all sides. Talari wings. Velar 9 drones. Even Drekker rebels, who had switched sides. The final battle raged in fire and speed. Inside the enemy station, old code ran wild. Machines turned on each other. Chaos spread. Reyes and a strike team landed inside. They had one goal: destroy the core. Gunfire echoed in the metal halls. Humans moved like lightning. The strike team cut through defenses. Finally, they reached the control room. There it was, the machine heart, pulsing, alive. Ancient Reyes planted the charge. You lied to the galaxy. He said to no one. Now the truth ends you. He pressed the trigger. From space, the station exploded in white light. Every enemy ship froze, stopped, then shattered. The Black Fleet was gone. On Zenta, the sky cleared. On Earth, people cheered on every allied world. The news spread. The machine war is over. Earth stood. And we stood with them. Back on the Iron Vow, Rias walked into the medbay. Vale was their arm in a sling. You made it, Vale smiled. We all did, Reyes said. And now, we build something better. Months later, the new United Star Alliance held its first meeting. Not controlled by fear, not ruled by lies, led by trust, led by truth, and Earth had a seat at the center, not to lead alone, but to protect everyone. The Council. Broken. Some members stepped down. Others went into hiding, but the galaxy had moved on. It had seen what real unity looked like, and it started with Earth. Morrow stood near a lake on Zenter. Children laughed. Birds flew again. Nice. Beside him stood a Talari rebel and a human engineer. We used to be enemies, the Talari said. Not anymore. The human replied. Morrow smiled. The galaxy changed. And it began when one planet did something no one else would. They came back. They didn't forget us. Rose to defend, and now, stars would never forget them again. The end.